Alright everyone, Chicago right now is overrun by thug hoodlum rioters that keeps doing smash and grabs in stores and attacking people in their cars and stuff like that. And it's all very interesting because, of course, the mayor there's not going to respond because, you know, my people, they're upset about police brutality. That's why they broke into the Apple store. Which makes perfect sense to somebody like Lori Lightfoot. She's so full of shit that her head is bloated with it and her eyes are popping out of her skull. Anyway, though, the Cringe Fringe was also threatening, like a few days ago, the tweet, link in the description, talking about wanting to besiege the White House. And interestingly enough, a person was shot near the White House fence by Secret Service last night. Or I guess I should say 2 nights, since in the U.S. it's still like 2 o'clock in the morning. And Trump was giving a presser, actually, at the time, a briefing, and had to be temporarily evacuated, I guess, because of this incident. Somebody approached the White House with a firearm. Who in their right minds is fucking crazy enough to do that? You do that with ill intent and they manage to establish that. You're not going to see the outside of the prison cell for a very, very long time. I don't understand it. So what hope do you possibly have? You get hundreds of Secret Service agents. They're all armed. You've got literal U.S. Marines, if I remember correctly, stationed on the fucking roof. You got snipers everywhere, bulletproof glass, and fucking probably like secret doors and tunnels and weird shit like that. Do you think you're going to get anywhere near Trump if he's in the White House? You'd need a fucking army. It's not going to happen. But the Cringe Fringer here was like threatening about, we're going to besiege the White House, basically doing the bravado bullshit thing, which is, you know, the 2 arms comrade crap that they like to do. Oh, we're strong. And it's funny because as soon as somebody actually shows them that they have a gun, all of a sudden they go from we're going to beat you up, we're strong communist soldiers, hail Stalin, to very, very meek, and they all whip out their crap phones, and then they start recording, say, oh, we're peaceful protesters, oh my god, we're being hunted by this evil extremist with a gun, and they break down in tears, and they do stupid shit. And they do this at these riots. They'll throw bricks and bombs and Molotov cocktails. The second that someone responds, that's when they stop doing that and start recording and gaslighting people and claiming that they were never violent to begin with. Yeah, the courthouse just burned itself to the ground. It had nothing to do with us. It was friendly fire from some cop with a shotgun or something. But, I mean, this is pathetic. And think about it, even Twitter is, you know, I'm not even using Twitter anymore because it's devolved into such an uninteresting sputum echo chamber. Like, the only thing I'm doing there is it's a DM machine and a way to notify people when I upload because YouTube's not reliable enough for that point. That being said, though, Twitter as an echo chamber generally representing a left-wing tilt. Generally, it represents mostly neoliberals and the far left. That's most of Twitter as far as the commentary side of things goes. People on the right, they're more likely to use like YouTube, alt-tech sites at this point, because, you know, YouTube keeps purging people as well. And when you can get ratioed there saying something left-wing, you know that you worded it improperly and that you expressed a view that's like really out there. The idea of trying to lay siege to the White House is a poor one. For multiple reasons. Number one, Trump can just get into a fucking helicopter and go over you, so you're not stopping him or anyone else that wants to come and go from actually doing so. Number two, if you're trying to impede traffic to and from the White House, you're going to get a beatdown from the Secret Service, who have extremely wide latitude all over that general area to basically hunt you down and shoot you. And probably most of these people would deserve it if that were to happen. It would actually give me glee at this point to see some commie skulls cracked, but Trump is showing more restraint because he knows if there's any response by the feds, Secret Service, and so forth, Antifa and BLM and all these other Marxists will do what they're very good at, which is that they'll take selectively edited footage, get it to the legacy media, and the legacy media will unironically report on it as though they were being completely peaceful. Now, meanwhile, in the background, they'll be burning buildings and the sounds of gunfire and people smashing windows. That will be ignored, or even, in some cases, and this is the most mysterious part, the legacy media has literally had reports where they're talking about protests, like peaceful protests, and they're literally recording in front of a burning building, they themselves even sometimes getting assaulted, and they still refer to it as a protest. Well, that's a riot. What's happening in Chicago is rioting. Seattle and Portland, those are riots. They're not peaceful protests, they're not legitimate, they're not covered under the First Amendment. These people are criminals, and in some cases, unfortunately, literal terrorists. When you construct a bomb and throw it at a federal courthouse, you are a terrorist. These people are literally trying to terrorize the local populations now in Portland, and then you have this in D.C. But the idea of besieging the White House specifically as a unique object, that's just not going to happen. And you and whose army? There aren't enough Antifa members in the country to storm the White House. If every Antifa member in the fucking country were to get together, converge in D.C., tens of thousands of people, the Secret Service would win. Even if those Antifa members were armed, trust me, they are not good enough shots to overwhelm a unit of U.S. Marines and hundreds of Secret Service agents. Not to mention, the second that they started, every local troop would be activated, and there'd be thousands of U.S. soldiers pinning them down, killing every goddamn single one of them. In fact, if they were to try to do it, we could solve the commie problem in the country in a single day. Yeah, the Marines suffered one casualty. A dude's gun went off the wrong way and he got a powder burn on his finger. That's basically the news of the day. And then they could hoist their bodies up around the White House Vlad style as a warning to the next generation of dumb socialists. And the legacy media would say, oh, what brutality. And this peaceful group of people, heavily armed, marched on the White House and was brutally gunned down by Trump's Gestapo agents. That's basically what they would say. It was funny because this person getting near the White House had a gun, right? So the legacy media will say, well, his presser was interrupted. Are they ever going to report? When we find out that this was an Antifa member or a BLM sympathizer, you're not going to hear much about it from the legacy media. Let's put it that way. But the idea that they're going to besiege the White House was so laughable to people. A bunch of liberals are saying, using the term besiege usually connotes violence. And so there are people that are like, oh yeah, but it must be peaceful. It's like, okay, well then word it that way. You know, maybe get an English major to do your next Antifa tweet. It's obvious that some of these people are fundamentally illiterate anyway. That's about all. Peace out.